Single dad quit his $47 M job at 4:17 a.m. His billionaire CEO showed up and changed everything at exactly 4:17 a.m. Daniel Carter closed his laptop for the last time, stared at the glowing resignation email on his screen, and hit send, walking away from a $47 million career while his 6-year-old daughter slept in the next room, unaware that her father had just stepped into the unknown. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us what truly matters, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Love Beyond the Porch, because stories like this deserve to be felt, not just heard. The apartment was quiet except for the soft hum of an old refrigerator and the distant sound of rain tapping against the window. Daniel sat there for a long moment, hands trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of what he had just done. For years, he had been one of the highest-paid executives in a global tech empire, living a life most people only dreamt about. Luxury cars, penthouses, private flights, he had it all. But none of it had mattered the night his daughter, Lily, had cried herself to sleep while he was stuck in another late-night board meeting. That moment had never left him. Being a single father had never been part of Daniel's plan, but life had rewritten his story in the most unexpected way. After Lily's mother passed away, everything changed. Daniel tried to balance both worlds, being a top executive and a present father, but the truth was brutal. Every promotion pulled him further away from the only person who needed him the most. And somewhere along the way, he realized he was slowly losing her, not physically, but emotionally. That night at 4:17 a.m., after yet another missed promise to read her bedtime story, he made the decision. He chose his daughter over everything else. The days that followed were not glamorous. Without the structure of his corporate life, Daniel felt lost. The savings were substantial, but the fear of what now crept in constantly. He began doing small things he had never had time for before, making breakfast, walking Lily to school, sitting with her during homework. At first, it felt unfamiliar, almost awkward, but slowly something began to heal. Lily started smiling more. Still, the world outside wasn't as forgiving. Friends questioned his decision. Former colleagues called him reckless. Opportunities slipped away because he had stepped out of the game. The pressure built quietly, like a storm waiting to break. Then came the rain. It was one of those heavy nights, the kind where the sky feels like it's carrying the weight of the world. Daniel stood near the door, watching Lily draw at the small table, when a sudden knock echoed through the apartment. It was unexpected, sharp, and strangely urgent. When he opened the door, he found a young woman standing there, soaked from head to toe, clutching a small paper bag to her chest. Her hair was wet, her expression tense, and her eyes carried a mixture of fear and determination. She looked like someone who had nowhere else to go. For a moment, time seemed to pause. Daniel didn't ask questions right away. Something in her presence felt familiar, not in identity, but in emotion. It was the look of someone standing at the edge of everything, just like he had been days ago. Without hesitation, he stepped aside and let her in. That simple act changed everything. The woman introduced herself as Maya. She wasn't just lost, she was running from a collapsing life of her own. Job gone, family distant, no support system, and no direction. The paper bag she held wasn't money or valuables, it was her last hope, filled with documents, ideas, and a business plan she had been too afraid to pursue. As the night unfolded, Daniel listened, really listened. For the first time in years, he wasn't analyzing numbers or strategies, he was hearing a human story. Maya spoke about building something meaningful, something that helped people, something that mattered beyond profit. And as she spoke, something inside Daniel began to stir again. Purpose days turned into weeks. What started as a simple act of kindness turned into collaboration. Daniel saw potential in Maya's vision, not just financially, but emotionally. Together, they began shaping her idea into something real. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks, doubts, and moments where giving up felt easier, but this time Daniel wasn't alone. And neither was Maya. Lily, in her innocent way, became the heart of it all. Her laughter filled the apartment. Her drawings covered the walls. And her presence reminded them why they had started in the first place. Then one morning, something unexpected happened. A black car pulled up outside Daniel's modest building. Out stepped a man Daniel knew all too well, the billionaire CEO he had once worked for, the man who had built the empire Daniel had walked away from. He hadn't come to offer Daniel his job back. He had come because he had been watching. Word had spread quietly about what Daniel was building, not just a business, but something with impact, something human. The CEO admitted something surprising. Despite all his success, He had lost sight of what truly mattered. And seeing Daniel walk away from everything had forced him to reflect. What Daniel thought was an ending had actually become the beginning of something far greater. The CEO didn't offer a contract. He offered support, resources, connections, and belief in what Daniel and Maya were creating. But this time, the power dynamic was different. Daniel wasn't returning to his old life. He was building a new one on his own terms, and he accepted not for himself, but for the future he now believed in. Months later, the small apartment turned into a growing workspace. The idea that once lived inside a paper bag became a movement that touched lives. People found help, hope, and opportunity through what they had built. But the real success wasn't measured in numbers. It was measured in moments. Daniel reading Lily a bedtime story without checking his phone. Maya smiling without fear. A life built not on pressure, but on purpose. Before we reach the end, take a moment and comment the word believe if you think one decision can truly change a life, because it might inspire someone who needs it right now. As the story closes, one truth remains clear. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do isn't holding on to everything you've built, but letting go of it to find what you truly need. If this story touched your heart even a little, don't scroll away silently. Like, comment, and share it with someone who might need this reminder today. And don't forget to subscribe to Love Beyond the Porch, because stories like this are more than just stories, they're reflections of who we can become.